The crystal chandeliers of the Ritz-Carlton ballroom sparkled overhead as I sat at the far corner table, the one reserved for less important family members at my father's 65th birthday celebration. My simple black sweater and jeans stood out among the designer suits and evening gowns, exactly as I planned. "Look who finally showed up," my sister Victoria's stage whispered to her tech executive husband, still dressing like a college dropout. "Alex, if they only knew this simple sweater was a handcrafted piece that cost more than their monthly mortgage." Not that I'd ever tell them. The beauty of being underestimated is that people reveal their true nature when they think you're beneath them. "We'll serve you after the important guests," my stepmother Diana said with a thin smile, gesturing to the waiters. "I'm sure you understand." I did understand more than they knew. While they were arranging seating charts by perceived wealth, my company, Shadow Systems, had quietly become one of the most valuable tech firms in Silicon Valley. They just didn't know it yet. My phone buzzed silently. A message from my chief operating officer, Maya Patel. Forbes article ready. Net worth calculation confirmed at $5.6 billion. Reveal scheduled for 9 p.m. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, San Francisco's skyline glittered with possibility. Somewhere out there, in an unmarked building, my team was preparing to unveil the technology that would make Shadow Systems a household name. Remember when Alex said he was starting a tech company? Victoria laughed to her audience. Dad offered to make him VP at Davidson Tech, and he chose to follow his passion instead. "Some passions lead to food stamps," my brother Ryan added, adjusting his Rolex. I checked my watch, a deliberately basic Timex that hit a prototype of Shadow Systems' latest innovation. 2 hours until Forbes revealed the truth about the failure they'd been mocking all evening. "Still driving that old Toyota, son?" My father finally acknowledged me, his disappointment evident. "You could have had a corner office and a company car by now." "The Toyota works fine, Dad," I said quietly, thinking about the collection of supercars hidden in my private garage. The same garage where we developed the quantum computing technology that would revolutionize the tech industry. My phone lit up again, this time with a message from our PR team. CNBC exclusive locked in. Times Square billboard secured for 9 p.m. reveal. "Alex," Victoria called out, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Tell everyone about your company." "What do you do again?" "Build websites." "Something like that," I replied softly, watching my family exchange knowing smirks. Ryan leaned forward, his expensive suit catching the light. "Hey, if you need some real work, I hear the IT department is hiring. You didn't know how to fix printers, right?" The irony was delicious. Davidson Tech's entire infrastructure actually ran on Shadow Systems technology. They just didn't know they were paying millions to use their failure son's innovation. "Mr. Chun," a waiter approached, actually Jake Torres, my head of security, maintaining our cover. "Everything is in place for 9 p.m. I nodded slightly, watching the room fill with Silicon Valley's elite. In 2 hours, they'd learned that the dropout they'd been ignoring had built something beyond their comprehension. Diana sauntered past, champagne in hand. "Alex, darling, your father's friend Thomas is looking for a junior programmer. Should I give him your number?" If she only knew that Thomas's company had just signed a $100 million contract with Shadow Systems. Half the room's successful tech companies depended on my technology. They just didn't realize it yet. My phone buzzed again. Bloomberg requesting exclusive interview following Forbes reveal. Shadow Systems' patent portfolio valued at $2.3 billion alone. I took another sip of water. They hadn't offered me wine yet, watching my family bask in their imagined superiority. In exactly 2 hours, they would learn what real success looked like. Sometimes the biggest achievements are built in silence, while others are busy making noise about their own importance. "Ladies and gentlemen," Ryan's voice boomed through the sound system. "In 2 hours, Dad has a special announcement about Davidson Tech's latest acquisition." I suppressed a smile, knowing that in exactly 120 minutes, a very different announcement would steal their thunder. Around me, Silicon Valley's elite gathered in anticipation, none of them realizing that the most valuable company in the room was represented by the guy in jeans at the corner table. "Still using that ancient phone?" Victoria smirked, flashing her latest iPhone. I suppose that's all you can afford on whatever it is you do. My ancient phone was actually a Shadow Systems prototype worth more than her house. The same technology that would revolutionize mobile computing when we revealed it next month. "Your dinner, sir," Jake murmured, placing a plate of clearly leftover food in front of me, maintaining our carefully crafted image. The kitchen apologizes for the delay. "I'm sure Alex is used to waiting," Diana called out loudly. "Not everyone can afford five-star dining." My phone vibrated, Maya's message lighting up the screen. Stock exchange prepared for Monday opening. Projected market cap exceeding $100 billion. Through the windows, I could see the Times Square billboard being tested. Soon it would display Shadow Systems' logo and my net worth to the world. The same logo Victoria had called amateur when I first showed it to her. Remember when Alex tried to pitch his revolutionary technology to Davidson Tech's board? Ryan laughed, drawing a crowd. Dad said it sounded like science fiction. Science fiction that had already revolutionized 3 industries and was about to disrupt dozens more. Jake whispered as he passed, still playing waiter. CNBC crews in position. I nodded slightly, watching my father hold court at the main table. Robert Chun, tech industry titan, celebrating his 65th birthday while relegating his youngest son to the corner. If he'd bothered to read any of my research papers published under a pseudonym, he might have recognized the technology that was about to make his company obsolete. "Alex," Victoria sighed theatrically, "you could at least try to network. These are important people in tech. People whose companies ran on my technology, whose profits depended on my innovations, whose future would be shaped by what I was about to reveal." "Sir," Maya texted, "Elon just confirmed he'll tweet support at 9:01 p.m. Gates and Bezos standing by." The waiters, real ones this time, began serving dessert, carefully following Diana's instructions to serve me last. The $200 per plate chocolate souffle would be cold by the time it reached my table, but that was part of the show. Dad's announcement will change tech history, Ryan declared, champagne sloshing. Davidson Tech is about to become the most valuable company in Silicon Valley. My phone lit up with another message, this time from our legal team. SEC filings complete. Shadow Systems full financial disclosure ready for 9 p.m. release. "Alex," my father finally addressed me directly, "at least try to look interested. This is what real success looks like." I met his gaze calmly. "Oh, I'm very interested in real success, Dad. In fact, I wouldn't miss tonight's revelations for anything." Victoria sauntered over, designer heels clicking. "Still working on that quantum computing thing? The one Dad's board said was impossible." "Something like that," I smiled, thinking about the quantum processors that were about to make traditional computing obsolete. The room was buzzing with anticipation. Tech reporters checked their cameras, venture capitalists huddled in groups, and my family basked in their moment of perceived triumph. "Poor Alex," Diana murmured to her social circle. "He could have had everything at Davidson Tech. Now he's probably living in some tiny apartment." My phone buzzed again, a message from my real estate agent. Paperwork complete on the new headquarters. 50 floors in downtown SF, as requested. Jake appeared with my now cold dessert. "Sir, Shadow Systems servers are running at full capacity. All systems go for reveal." Through the ballroom's windows, we could see news vans gathering outside. They thought they were here for Davidson Tech's announcement. They had no idea they were about to witness the emergence of tech's newest giant. "Everyone gather round," Ryan called out. "Dad's announcement will revolutionize technology." My father stood at the microphone, confidence radiating. Friends, family, distinguished colleagues. The first phones began to buzz. Every screen in the ballroom suddenly switched to the Forbes website. My father's words died in his throat as his own image was replaced by something very different. Tech's hidden billionaire revealed. Alexander Chen's Shadow Systems emerges from stealth. Net worth, $5.6 billion. The silence was absolute. The silence lasted exactly 4 seconds before chaos erupted. My father stood frozen at the microphone as every phone in the room lit up simultaneously with notifications. The Forbes article was just the beginning. Shadow Systems, led by CEO Alexander Chun, has revolutionized quantum computing with breakthrough technology valued at over $50 billion, the Forbes headline screamed. The secretive company, operating from an unmarked facility in Silicon Valley, has secured contracts with every major tech giant and government agency. That's impossible, Ryan stammered, his Rolex suddenly looking cheap. Alex just has that small coding project. I smiled, pulling out my ancient phone. Actually, brother, Shadow Systems powers 60% of global cloud computing. Would you like to see what real innovation looks like? The ballroom screens switch to live feeds of our facility. Quantum computers humming in pristine rooms, hundreds of the world's best engineers at work, and technology that made Davidson Tech look like a relic from another era. But we checked. Victoria's voice cracked. Your company showed no major contracts, no significant revenue. You checked what I wanted you to check, I corrected her. The shell companies, the public facades. The real Shadow Systems has been hiding in plain sight, powering the future while you were busy mocking my clothes. My father finally found his voice. The quantum computing project, the one our board rejected, is now worth more than Davidson Tech's entire market cap. I finished for him. Funny how science fiction becomes reality when you actually understand the technology. The Forbes article continued to scroll across the screens. Shadow Systems' revolutionary quantum architecture processes data 10,000 times faster than traditional systems. Sources say the company's true value could exceed $200 billion after its planned IPO. Diana clutched her champagne glass like a lifeline. $200 billion? But that's more than the combined value of every company in this room, Maya said, dropping her cover and assuming her role as COO. And that's before announcing our contracts with NASA for the Mars colonization computing systems. The tech reporters in the room had recovered from their shock and were broadcasting live. In a stunning revelation, the mysterious quantum computing breakthrough that's been revolutionizing Silicon Valley has been unveiled at Robert Chen's birthday celebration. The innovator? His own son, who the family relegated to the corner table. Sir, Jake approached, now in an executive suit. Elon's tweet just went live. We're trending worldwide. Through the windows, Times Square's massive screens lit up with Shadow Systems' logo and my net worth. The same logo that would soon replace Davidson Tech's on buildings worldwide. We'd acquired controlling interest months ago through a series of quiet purchases. All this time, Ryan whispered, while we were making jokes about your Toyota, I was building something beyond your comprehension. I confirmed. Every major tech breakthrough in the past 3 years, powered by Shadow Systems. Those mysterious quantum processing sources that Davidson Tech couldn't identify? All us. Victoria stepped forward, her social climbing instincts kicking in. Brother, dear, we should discuss partnership opportunities. Like the partnership you mocked when I tried to explain quantum computing at last year's Christmas dinner? I raised an eyebrow. The technology you said was probably just fancy coding. The screens showed more headlines pouring in. Tech's new king, Alexander Chen's secret empire revealed. Shadow Systems, the most valuable private tech company in history. Silicon Valley's hidden genius, the billionaire next door. My father approached slowly, his authority visibly crumbling. Son, why didn't you tell us? Tell you what, Dad? That while you were pushing me to take that VP position, I was revolutionizing computing. That while you were calling me a disappointment, I was filing patents worth billions. That while you were serving me cold leftovers, I was building the future. Maya appeared again. Sir, the President's science advisor is calling about the Quantum Defense Initiative. Tell them I'll call back, I said. Family matters first. The ballroom had become a frenzy of activity. Tech executives who had ignored me all evening were suddenly desperate to make connections. Venture capitalists who had rejected my early pitches were frantically trying to get my attention. But the Toyota, Diana sputtered. The basic phone, the simple clothes. Because real innovation doesn't need to show off, I replied. Success isn't measured in watches or cars or designer labels. It's measured in impact. I projected another set of images. Shadow systems, global reach. Research facilities on 4 continents. Quantum networks stretching from Silicon Valley to Singapore. Tomorrow morning, I continued, Davidson Tech will receive an offer to become a division of Shadow Systems. A courtesy, really. We already control enough shares to make it happen. Ryan slumped in his chair. All those board meetings, the acquisition plans, were exactly what I wanted you to focus on while we completed our real breakthroughs. I confirmed. Amazing how easy it is to direct attention when people think they're too important to look closely at the quiet one in the corner. The screens showed Shadow Systems' latest projects, quantum teleportation experiments, AI systems that could reshape reality, computing power that could simulate entire universes. Mr. Chun, a reporter approached. Sources say Shadow Systems is preparing to announce several major new initiatives, including, I smiled, technology that makes traditional quantum computing obsolete. Sorry about that acquisition announcement, Dad. Your new product line will be outdated before you finish your birthday cake. My father's face had aged a decade in an hour. Alexander, I never what? Never looked past your own assumptions? Never considered that success might look different than your definition? I straightened my simple sweater. Consider this a lesson in judgment. Maya approached with another tablet. NASA live stream ready. They're waiting to announce the Jupiter mission computing contract. The final numbers flashed across the screens. Shadow Systems' true valuation, the scope of its technological dominance, the future it was creating while my family was busy mocking my choices. And now, I check my basic Timex. I have a space program to revolutionize. Real innovation to pursue. Maya, please make sure everyone gets the updated press packets. As I walked toward the exit, I stopped by my father's chair. Happy birthday, Dad. Consider this your wake-up call. The future belongs to those who dare to think beyond traditional success. The ballroom fell silent except for the sound of phones buzzing with notifications and cameras clicking. Through the windows, Times Square's billboards told the story of Tech's new king, the failure who had quietly built an empire while his family was busy judging his clothes. Mr. Chun, a final reporter called out. One last question. What's next for Shadow Systems? I turned back, thinking about the technologies we were developing, the boundaries we were pushing, the future we were shaping, while the old guard clung to their outdated measures of success. The next generation of innovation isn't about looking successful, I said. It's about actually changing the world. Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from those everyone underestimated. As my quantum-powered helicopter lifted off from the hotel's rooftop, I looked down at the ballroom where my family was still trying to process their new reality. Sometimes the person they serve last ends up owning the restaurant. Sometimes the greatest power comes from letting others underestimate you while you quietly reshape their universe. And as for that Toyota, I think I'll keep driving it. After all, some of the best ideas come when you're willing to stay humble while building something extraordinary.